Hey, my name's Clare Appleyard. I'm the founder and owner of Katanuta Diamonds. We are a bespoke jewelry manufacturing company based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We've been going for the last 15, 16 years. And I am a hobbyist photographer at the same time. So I was born in England in a town called Scunthorpe, which is the northern part of England, a very industrial steelworks town. But we immigrated actually to South Africa in 1983 when I was about 6.5. So even though I spent my first couple of years in the UK, literally since 1983 I've been here. So finished my entire school career in South Africa, in Kempton Park, ironically. So yes, that's where we landed when we came to South Africa. I am the worst person to ask about that because right now I have none. It's like, so I will go through phases of my life in going, I need to get up and meditate, and I need to, I don't know, do some Tai Chi, or I need to go doing some exercise and have a cup of green tea and read and journal. Right now I'm doing none of that. It is literally alarm goes off, slap the snooze button a couple of times, throw the dogs off the bed, feed the dogs, have a cup of tea, check my phone, have some more tea, and land at my laptop somewhere at the moment between 7 and 8 in the morning. So no is the answer for morning rituals. So at school I was very interested in geography as a subject. So I loved kind of how the earth worked and glaciers and volcanoes and all that kind of stuff. But I also loved high school. I had a really, really good time at high school. I was a bit of a geek. So I decided that my career path was either going to be a geologist or a teacher. And if I was going the teaching route, I was definitely going to be teaching geography and PT because I was sports inclined. I ended up applying for a number of bursaries for geology, to study geology. My parents wouldn't have been able to afford to send me to university. And I ended up getting a bursary from De Beers / Anglo-American as it was at the time, to study geology. So I ended up down at University of Cape Town at UCT doing my undergrad degree and master's degree in geology. Because I had that De Beers bursary, I was in the fortunate enough position of not having to look for a job when I graduated. And I went straight into De Beers as a graduate geologist in their geologist and training program, based in various parts of the country for the first year. And then I worked at the research laboratory in Johannesburg for about 5.5 years doing diamond research and laboratory support basically for the diamond exploration. And then I moved to Anglo-American for a year in the platinum industry. Didn't have a great time, had a bit of a nervous breakdown, nothing to do with Anglo-American, and started Katanuta off the back of my diamond experience and love for diamonds, basically. Oh, that's on YouTube. You can go look that up. There's a YouTube video about it. So yes, but essentially it was kind of I needed to make some changes, and it was a catalyst, like most negative events are, can turn out to be kind of your greatest good and a stepping stone in all of that case, and that's exactly what it was. That was kind of the seeds of the foundation of Katanuta Diamonds, but then also the seeds of the foundation of quitting the corporate world and getting onto the path of entrepreneurship. Apart from the fact that they were white and were benefiting from the system. So Scunthorpe, the town where I was born and we grew up, was a very industrial town, a very working class town. And Margaret Thatcher was in charge of the UK, and the economy was not going well in the industrial towns. There were all sorts of strikes going on. So my dad worked for the city council. He was an architect at the city council, and he was in danger of losing his job. So there was a mass drive with companies like Eskom and Iscor at that time bringing in expat labour from England and Ireland. And they were literally relocating entire families. If you had qualifications that they needed, they would pay for your entire family relocation from the UK or from Ireland to South Africa. That's how we ended up here. That's ironically how my partner Davina ended up here at the same thing. Her dad was hired by Eskom as well. So it was just that era. It's what the parastatal companies were doing, for better or for worse. That was the situation at the time. No, I have not. I've lived in various places in South Africa. Obviously grew up in Kempton Park, lived in Cape Town for 6 years whilst I was studying, and then came back to Johannesburg. But no, I haven't lived outside of my 6 formative years in the UK. I haven't lived outside of South Africa, no. I spent good few months in Kimberley whilst I was doing my geological training with De Beers, because De Beers is kind of Kimberley is the home of diamonds in South Africa, so it made sense for De Beers to send a lot of their staff there for a lot of time. But apart from Johannesburg and Cape Town, no, just various suburbs in Johannesburg. But no, I haven't lived in Durban or Swakopmund or anything like that. That's Namibia, scrap that. Yes, I am openly gay. I do have a long-term partner. It's a difficult question and perhaps a loaded question, because we do know that white privilege exists, and we do know that many of the times I think white society can be more tolerant if you exclude the radical Bible bashers and the evangelistic Christians and Southern Baptist kind of people. There may be a lot more tolerance than there is in the African communities. I know a lot of the times there's African countries and African communities that don't see being gay as African. They see it as distinctly un-African for whatever reason, which is crazy in my mind. People are people. Love is love. So I cannot speak to that danger because I am fortunate enough to never have experienced it. But I grew up in a privileged upbringing. I grew up in a privileged society. And I also came out around about the late 90s, where it was starting to become a bit more socially acceptable. In 1990, being gay was illegal in South Africa. In 1997, it wasn't. We had a new constitution, we had a new prime minister, and things were a lot more loving and understanding than they had been, obviously, in the 90s. It's an interesting question, and again, I'm very much I am who I am. I don't play to airs and graces. If you want my respect, you have to earn my respect, is kind of the way I see things. I think, the mining industry is exceptionally male dominated, and not only is it exceptionally male dominated, it's exceptionally white male dominated, and has been for a long, long time. And it's going to take a long time to change that. I think had I stayed in the corporate world, and had I stayed working for the giants like De Beers and Anglo-American, there could absolutely have been some limitations as far as the patriarchy goes and sexism goes, and it is alive and well. I was actually speaking to my goldsmith at my workshop yesterday, and talking about salaries and stuff, and he said, think about it, he's like, you've got two women living together earning a salary, and women still get paid less than men. He's like, compare that to a male and female partnership, and then combine that to two male partnerships, two gay men living together. They've got the ultimate spending power. So even as an entrepreneur, there are still limitations with regards to that, and it's something we have to keep busting through and breaking through. I pay no heed to it, and it might not have affected me as much as it's affected other people, but it is definitely there, and it is definitely a serious issue that needs addressing, as much as the white dominance and the white privilege. So a lot of people will go, yeah, like we've had this discussion, my mother or Oprah Winfrey or Nelson Mandela. To me, I don't have one particular person. Davina, my partner, I find very inspiring at the moment. She started a business from scratch 2 years ago, and they've done remarkably well. Even during lockdown in 2020, they had some limiting factors with regards to the 5-week lockdown, like the rest of us have, but they've come through sailing. They really have. So that's inspiring, but I can't say there's one particular person. I think we draw inspiration from different people at different times of our lives, and we resonate with different people at other times in our lives. So photography inspires me from a nature and a cityscape and a beauty perspective, so there'll be photographers that go with that. And then there's some jewelry designers that inspire me, and there's some people that have gone through tremendous obstacles in their life that they've had to overcome, so they inspire me as well. But I can't say there's one particular person per se. The name actually came back from the nervous breakdown I alluded to earlier. So at that stage, I was going through a very big phase of personal development, which I'd started around about 2006, I think early 2006, and I'd gotten into the world of personal development. And it was that things happen for a reason. There's, find the greater purpose. There's good and there's bad. We often tend to go through life expecting everything to be at a peak and to be expecting peak experiences and happy moments. And I think social media has made that expectation even worse. Whereas what actually happens in reality is you've got peaks and troughs. It's a wave. You know, you're not going to get a peak without a trough, and you're not going to get a trough without a peak. And I knew I was going through a terrible time personally. Obviously, that was taking its toll on Davina as well. And I was like, something good needs to come of this. And I was looking for a word that meant gratitude. So I literally went online, Googled gratitude in different languages, and the word Katanuta came up, or Katanuta came up, which is a Buddhist word for gratitude. And I love the Buddhist principles, even though I eat meat and, you know, doom ants. I kind of like the principles. So the name resonated and it stuck, and it is a bit of a tongue twister for some people, but we love it. And 15 years later, it's here to stay. Not at all. We used to. Katanuta used to be more of an umbrella per se, and she had one side of a business that was completely unrelated. It had to do with corporate health and wellness, and Katanuta Diamonds was my side. We shut down the wellness side probably 4 or 5 years ago or so. So at the moment, no, there is no business overlap whatsoever. I know we've been lucky, and I know that hard work pays off, because I've been planting seeds for this business for 15 years. And it's really only in the last 2 years that stuff has started to come together, if I think about it. What I know for sure is that I love what I do. I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I love, and to be able to bring that joy to couples that are getting engaged. And I know I'm good at it. I know I'm good at what I do. I know I'm good at speaking. I know I'm good at helping people feel comfortable with what they're purchasing and understanding what they're purchasing. That's all stuff, absolutely, that I know for sure as far as business goes.